Well, good day. Welcome to another episode of Rob Report. I'm your humble host, Robert Bob TV Brown, Bobby Bob TV, whatever you want to call me. Before we get started, I want to make sure we do a little housekeeping. We're going to start doing this going forward. Hit the like button. I want everybody to smash the like button because I need these videos to get out. I need to try to learn how to do whatever I need to do to work that algorithm. So hit the like button. While you're at it, go ahead and hit the notification bell. Hit always. That way you know you get an alert when a video is dropping. Whoop, there it is. And more important, if you have not subscribed to the channel, make sure you click subscribe. Make sure that you go back and see if you're still subscribed because, YouTube has a habit of unsubscribing people. YouTube has a habit of crapping on people that's really doing things that's not advertising friendly. If you do something advertising friendly, they got your back all day. And if you do want to donate to the channel, you got the information right there, Cash App Bob TV or PayPal.me. It's instant. I'd rather do that than Super Chat. But that's not what I'm here to talk about. Get right into it. Media sellouts. Don Lemon continues to gaslight and crap on black movements. Now, Don Lemon has a history. Don Lemon has a history of crapping on black people. And oftentimes I ask myself, what is wrong with this dude? What is his problem? Why do you go God hard against people who are not supporting the establishment, that is not supporting the elite? But it brings me to take a look at a couple of things concerning Don Lemon that I think is important to look at. All right, so Don Lemon, Don Carlton, that right there's enough. I'm done. I see why. Carlton. Might well be Don Poindexter, but he is American television journalist, born in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. So you got somebody that probably believes he's a little elitist. Attended Louisiana State University, graduated from Brooklyn College in Brooklyn, majored in broadcast journalism, worked as a news assistant. He was hired at Fox News and worked for St. Louis and Chicago affiliates. After graduating, Lemon became a correspondent for NBC affiliates in Philadelphia and Chicago. So to talk about his early career and to talk about his present. Lemon lives in an apartment in Harlem and has another home in Sag Harbor on Long Island. So here you got a man who has two homes. Now let me tell you something. Sag Harbor isn't, you can't be broke living in Sag Harbor. And Sag Harbor is not too far from where Andrew Cuomo live at and his brother. They had homes out there. So the man is well off, two homes in upper echelon areas. Now Harlem, it depends on Harlem. Harlem is not Harlem like it used to be. Harlem then got a little bougie. Certain areas of Harlem are very bougie. Recognize and to encourage and increase visibility and impact of black gay men in society. We're going to stick with the black gay men thing in a little bit. Outnamed him as Power 50 list of most influential LGBTQ people in the United States. Is to really try to figure out why Don Lemon has a habit of gaslighting black people. What is up with this dude? And the black community need to put him on blast because I am. Oftentimes I take a look at how much money you're making. It will determine how you look at people. Do you look at them like this? Do you look down on them? Or are you looking up at them? Don Lemon's net worth and salary. Don Lemon net worth is $12 million. His salary a year is $4 million. His net worth is $10 million. So imagine you raking in $4 million a year and you got a network of $10 million. That could put you in a position where you can either look at people on the same level or you can look down. And the fact of the matter is the average black man, not even mention gay. And when you don't have that kind of money and people do, they tend to think they're smarter than you. They tend to think they're better than you. They tend to think they know more than you based on how much money you got. Well, I got a job. I got a career. I'm an anchor man and I have all this and you just work at Walmart. Are you looking at me like this? Or are you looking at me like this? Because of Don Lemon's statue, CNN anchorman, because he's being held up in high regards in the LGBTQ community, because he's a millionaire over and over again, it's highly likely that he don't have a real sense of concern for regular black people. One of the problems that I have with people in this day and age is that they Oftentimes, money make you forget who you are. Money can turn you into, put you in a position where you no longer, and not only is it money, it's who you surround yourself with. See, I always told you that the Cuomos are not a friend of black people, only when they have a need for their vote, just like any other politician. So you're looking at money, you're looking at position, you look at fame, you look at TV personality, you look at the neighborhood he live in, because I'm quite sure the neighbors just love Don Lemon. We got a TV personality. Don't look at the fact that he's black. Don't look at the fact that he's gay. He's a TV personality. He's famous, and he lives in our neighborhood. He probably get welcome into the neighborhood because he has the ability to be something that most of us are not. But wait, there's more. Let me add this. It's important I add this, and you might get mad at me, but look here. Don Lemon is engaged. He may have already gotten married. And this is his boyfriend. So not only is he's getting perks because of being a gay, famous TV personality that's very wealthy. I know a lot of gay guys in the hood that don't have that. And they identify more with the fact that they don't have money like that, and that they and they're a different color. Even though they're gay, they realize they're gay and black. They're gay and poor. But Don Lemon is gay, rich, famous, personality, and he got not just a husband, not just a white husband, but a rich white husband, boyfriend. Just like your Jonathan Capeharts, same thing. You could tell a man by who he's connected to. You could tell a man by the people he hang around. Robert, where you getting at? Well, I'm just setting this up for you, dog. I'm just putting the ball on the tee because we have to start pushing back on these media marks. We're not going to shame him for being gay. We're not going to shame him for having a white person in their life. We're going to shame him for not being more respectful of the black community and not honoring the black community above anything that he considers he is. Because at the end of the day, he's still black. He may be Tiger Woods black, but he's still black. And that's the only issue I have with people that's in certain communities. They put this community over their born and bred community of black. I have no problem. This is a free country. The God that I serve, even though he talks about the choices that you should make, he give you the freedom to choose it. He don't force you to choose it. Never ever put your affiliation over your black affiliation. I'm not black. Like Roland Martin, I'm not black, I'm a Christian. Bro, you black. I'm a Christian, but I realize when I wake up, I'm black. When I go out in the street and cops start harassing me, because I'm black. I can be holier than stop that. It's identity politics. It makes me, it really irks my nerves when people use identity politics to gain power. The only reason I use black is because we are void of power. People use identity because they power hungry. My community have needs, and I'm fighting for the needs of my community. Some people are fighting for their prestige and fame. They're fighting for their status in certain communities, whether it's wealthy elite or whether it's the poor, whether it's black or white. And that's what Don Lemon is. Don Lemon identifies himself only black when he needed. My question is, have you experienced the black experience? What most black people experience. When we say the black experience, we mean what most black people experience. You got a very wealthy, prosperous, black gay male who's married to a white gay husband, loaded with money, position, fame, and fortune. He's on a level where he feels that he can look down on us. And we need to put him in check. I know I am. Bro, who in the hell are you to look down on me and tell me what this community need? Number one, you left the community a long time ago, bro. You don't stay in the black community. You got home in Harlem. Harlem, where I guarantee you where Don Lemon live at. It ain't 125th Street. It's not 3rd Avenue. I can guarantee you it's not Lenox Avenue. I can guarantee you. I can guarantee you that Don Lemon probably lived closer to the Riverside area of Harlem. He probably lived on the the lower park, Central Park area of Harlem. I guarantee you he don't live on 3rd, Lenox, or Lexington. I can guarantee you he don't live on 3rd, 4th, 5th, 125th. He don't live on none of that. He'll be lucky if he lived on Frederick Douglass. So the man is not living in a black cave. I go through this every day. Man, you don't go through that every day. You probably got your home in Harlem whenever. You probably always living in your home in Long Island. Which most people cannot afford a home in Long Island, let alone a home in Long Island City. Recently, Don Lemon, give me a moment. Recently, Don Lemon had a CNN panel talk about defund the police with Angela Rye on. Now, I have had my issues with Angela Rye. Probably going to continue to have issues with Angela Rye. Because she can be a mark too. And she has been a mark before. And I don't doubt she's going to be a mark again. But in this particular video, Angela Rye is going to put Don Lemon in check. Not for black people, but for progressives. Let's watch this.
So the slogan, defund the police, heard from protesters and progressive Democrats in the aftermath of George Floyd's death. But former President Barack Obama is warning about it.
If you believe, as I do, that we should be able to reform the criminal justice system so that it's not biased and treats everybody fairly, I guess you can use a snappy slogan like defund the police, but you know you've lost a big audience the minute you say it, which makes it a lot less likely that you're actually going to get the changes you want done.
Now, first, before we go into this condescending, warmongering, murderer. I know black people don't like to say that, and my mom loved Barack Obama. My lady friend got a big old plate of Barack Obama on her table. But I call it as it is. Bruh, you were in charge of the Justice Department. You put somebody to lead the Justice Department who's black twice, Eric Holder and Loretta Lynch, and you crapped on protesters in Ferguson. You crapped on protesters in at Dakota Access Pipeline. I can go on and on and on. Defund the police isn't a new term, and it's not a slogan. But I guarantee it's better than hope and change. Because when it came to my community, you kept telling us you're going to bring hope and change, and you ain't bring nothing but hope and change to everybody else but black. You brought hope and change to those people who trying to get Bin Laden, you got it for them. You brought hope and change to Latinos, got it for them. Hope and change to the gay community, got them for them. Black people, nothing, nada. Shh, you need to be quiet. You cannot even, just because you've been the president for 4 years don't make you know everything, bruh. Snappy slogan. Snappy slogan. Yes, we can. You the yes, we can, dude. I fell for that stuff. Then I realized there was a little choo-choo train. He stole that off a choo-choo train. I think I can. He just upped it a little bit. Oh, I sung the song with John Legend. Boy, I got caught up in it. And because you didn't do what you needed to do with the Justice Department for 8 years, bruh. 8 freaking years. And 2 attorney generals. You had everything in your power to start doing some real changes in the Justice Department, and we didn't even need to quote anything about defund the police. And who cares? When it comes to political movements, when it comes to grassroots movements, you're not going to get everybody on your side, and you don't need everybody on your side, but he actually thinks you do. Martin Luther King said you don't. Now, predicated, Martin Luther King did kind of watch his terminology in certain things, and he realized it did get people on his side, but it didn't get him where he needed to be before he left this earth. Who are you? And see, and I'm seeing black people talking about he's right. It's the terminology. Let me tell you something, people. In advertisement, you always have a slogan. You have to have a slogan that's going to catch people's attention. Oftentimes, your slogan ain't going to be a positive, catchy attention slogan. For you people who don't like beef, where's the beef? For Wendy's would have made you sick. You wouldn't join in that campaign. Arby's, we have the beef. You ain't joining that campaign, but enough people are going to Arby's and eat. We don't need everybody. And also, once you get the slogan, you have to get the meaning behind the slogan. You have to get the image behind the slogan. When they mean defund the police, they mean stop government funding from going to the police department to certain areas such as tactical weaponry. Stop funding them to the tune of buying tanks and assault weapons and military gear. Take that money and put it in certain programs that's not only going to help the police officers get the sustainable living that they need. I believe police officers should be paid very well because it's a very dangerous job. My ex-wife was one. They should be accommodated. They should have certain perks like housing and things like that, just like the military. But to be spending it on all this crazy stuff when it should be pushed back in the community, because the whole point of policing is to take a guard for particular communities. That's the purpose of the police. Guard particular communities. Serve and protect particular community. Not beat up and harass, but serve and protect particular communities. And some of that money that the state get, the local government give, and the United States government give, not only should go to the police department, but it should go to the community policing effort, community centers and things like that. That is what I get people online getting caught up on the falling behind this bull crap, actually making it a talking point. And I'm kind of glad it is making a talking point because it is designed to spark conversation. Now it is the talk of, and you helped it, Barack Obama, but I'm letting you know, bruh, you ain't going to help it to crap on it. You're going to help us continue to beat you upside the head that the defund the police is the right word to say. It is the right word to use. Now, at first, I'm the type of person that I oftentimes get into language and terminology, especially when you're dealing with contract. But this is a political movement. Defund the police isn't dethrone the police. You hear that? See, that's simple. Defunding the police is not dethroning the police. Now, even though there's some people talking about get rid of police, period, most people are not talking about get rid of police and defunding police. Defunding the police department is not getting rid of the police. We just want the weaponry to stop flowing into the local police department, military grade weaponry. And guess who was behind the beginning of initiating all that? His vice president, Joe Biden. But let's keep going and hear Mr. Condescending another black male, half black, half white, whatever you want to call it, wealthy elitist, crapping on black people.
So let's discuss now CNN political commentators Angela Rye and Karen Finney. Hello, hello. Here we go. I think this is common.
Now, let me make sure I got my sound up here. I am no fan of Angela Rye, and I definitely ain't no fan of Karen Finney. These are suck-ups to Hillary Clinton. But like I always say, people you like can tell you the truth sometimes. And people who you don't like can oftentimes tell you the truth and oftentimes be right on a particular subject. And in this case, we're going to see where they're going to go there. Here we got Mr. Bougie elitist news anchorman who think he's the stuff, who really think he's the voice of America, and he's not. Let's see what he has to say.
Conversation we've had like on the phone, over text. So Angela, is Barack Obama right? Is defund the police a slogan that turns voters away?
Now, my question is, why are you answering a question when you're going to try to give the answer? Let's hear what she has to say.
I don't care. I think it's a conversation that needs to be had. And what I would say is, I think the moment that we begin to ask politicians to account for and to opine on rhetoric of the activist community is the moment that we walk into real trouble.
Now, I'm going to stop right there. That's exactly right. One of the number one movement killers in this country is politicians sticking their nose in the grassroots effort to get change. In the grassroots efforts, and the grassrooters allowing them to do it. That's why I don't support Black Lives Matter. I understand Black Lives Matter. I support the mantra Black Lives Matter, but the organization I don't support because they're allowing all this financial power to come in from banks, from corporate owners, from politicians. They feel like they're leaning toward a certain politician or leaning toward a certain party. Dr. King, before he died, said, look, I made some mistakes as an organizer. I ain't gonna make these mistakes again. I know exactly what we need to do. So contrary to what Jordan Sheridan said, that Dr. King was killed because he started talking about workers' rights. No, Jordan. I know you think that. There was another campaign Dr. King was working on, and he was about to close up the workers' right campaign. The next campaign Dr. King was working on was the campaign to go collect our check. And when he said collect our check, he wasn't talking about white people. He was saying collect our check because he knew the federal government owed black people, and he wanted to close the wealth gap. So he was going to push for some kind of reparation for black people. And the moment he said that, the government said, oh no. So the government don't care about working class getting, they'll bend the knee to the working class up to a certain level. But they don't want to do nothing for black people because most of them is still a white supremacist, racist-led governments. They just got a lot of people of color, including black people, bootlegging. They're using them to get their dirty work done. Case in point, this guy in the middle. Being used as a puppet in the arm of white supremacy, and he don't even know it. Then again, maybe he do. But your actions will always show you out. Because as soon as the black movement start to rise up, politicians want to get involved. And when they get involved, they killed the movement. So we don't need anybody from a political party or to try to lead a grassroots movement. Let that thing handle its own. It's kind of like Bernie Sanders and his platform. It's not about Bernie Sanders. It never was about Bernie Sanders. It was about the platform. He who don't support the platform, you're not getting no power from me. Step off. But let me keep going.
Nobody consulted Lyndon B. Johnson on whether or not what Dr. King was saying was appropriate, or if it would work, or whether or not it would turn off Democratic voters. I think the real question we need to be asking is something else that was talked about in that interview, and it is why we haven't made space for younger voices who know how to appeal to the very audiences who were out all summer long with the George Floyd. What we have to wrestle with in the Democratic Party is whether or not incrementalism has served us, and whether or not that's resulted in the saving of more Black lives, and I would argue it has not.
I think that is a very good argument about incrementalism, but when you have...
Now, here we go. Now, not a fan of Angela Yee, but she's right. Stay out of the business of the grassroots and let the grassroots do what they do. The grassroots don't need politicians trying to control what they're doing. Smart grassroots movement would not allow. That's why I support Ice Cube. Ice Cube said, "I'm not letting nobody take over this. I mean, y'all can help us build this thing, but you ain't gonna control it." That's why I lost a lot of people on this show, because I kept telling you, you can be white and help back us up. You can be Asian and help back us up, but you ain't leading this, because this has nothing to do with you. Just like the gay community, you don't expect a heterosexual to lead a gay movement, because they ain't got nothing to do with the heterosexual. Now, he did all this stuff, and then he started. The moment you hear "but," you can expect a bunch of gas coming out your behind.
That's resulted in the saving of more Black lives, and I would argue it has not.
I think that is a very good argument about incrementalism, but when you have something like defund the police, Angela, it's not a winning strategy. I know you said you don't care, but as an activist...
Now, Don Lemon, you've never been an activist, ever. How can you tell a person it's not a winning strategy? Have you tried it yourself? Have you lost? What isn't a will? See, you sound like the other one, James Clyburn, when he talked about Jamie Harrison. He said defund the police, and that's why he lost. No, Jamie Harrison lost because he's supposed to lose in South Carolina. I told you, if you're going to win that area in South Carolina, it would be a miracle. You got to go over and above telling the people what you want, what you're going to do for him. But Jamie Harrison did not want to go the path of telling these people, as your representative, this is what I'm going to do for you, Black people, and then this is what I'm going to do for the community at a whole. If he would have did that, he would have had Black people out the gazoo, and he would have had other people come out the gazoo for him, but he didn't. This is what I'm going to do for the senior citizen community, because a lot of people in that community were white. You don't expect all those white people to just vote for this Black man when they've been voting for this white man the whole time. They would vote for the Black man, but the Black man got to step up and really hit hard. This is what I'm going to do for you. Bernie Sanders did the same thing. He didn't do it. And that's why he couldn't get the senior vote. That's why he didn't get the white male vote. That's why they went with Lindsey Graham. Even though he ain't going to do nothing. He'll do something for white people, but he definitely ain't going to do nothing for Black people. And that's why a majority of white people that live in that area, because it's a majority, went out and voted for Lindsey Graham instead of Jamie Harrison. Y'all looking at one particular loss, Jamie Harrison. And Jamie Harrison wasn't talking real big about defunding the police.
Shouldn't you care? Because that slogan lost seats. It lost Democrats.
Now, let me stop there. Bruh. You lost seats. You lost Democratic seats. You've been losing it for ever since Obama got in office. Obama's second year in office, he started losing seats. Why? Because he didn't push a platform for working people. And he definitely didn't push a platform for Black people. He kept getting elected over and over again, but he didn't duplicate that process throughout the down ballot. And the reason people did not win in this election, the reason Democrats lost in this election again, and Trump gained, his type of people gained, is because you didn't run on a platform of what you're going to do for the American people. You ran on the platform of Trump horrible, Trump bad, and he's the boogeyman. And that only worked at the top of the ticket. It wasn't going to work on the down ticket. But those who had a platform of what they're going to do for working people, Day one, Donnie boy. Day one.
It actually didn't.
Well, I know that's a talking point where that
It's not a talking point, Doc. It's a fact. Now he's gonna lie. Here's a bald-faced liar. He's lying for his masters at CNN. Also, you can continue to get that paycheck. He's not going to tell the truth because, look, $4 to $6 million. Hey, I'd be tempted to lie too. He's going to lie to her on both of these women on both sides, and he looking dead at you, lying to you, so you can think to yourself, well, maybe he's right. This dude is lying to you. He's getting paid to lie to you.
progressives like to say, well,
I'm not espousing a talking point. I'm actually relying on data.
No,
but
I know you're going to talk about the go on, but
now he's going to talk about my data versus your data. But let's go.
I think that the data
I agree with her on that one.
The data that you're talking about is something that I know that progressives like to hold on to and say it's a data. But the overall election, it's a small number of people, progressives who ran on very progressive parts of the Democratic ticket, held their seats. But for the most part, Democrats who ran on defund the police and
who they
called socialism.
Exactly. Who were they? And stop using the word socialism.
They lost. Democrats lost across the board. The only Democrats,
but Don,
the only Democrats that won was Biden.
That's actually not true, right? First of all, and Karen, I'll let you hop in here, but let me just clarify a couple of things. One, and I hope I don't get in trouble for saying this, but let me first say this. This is not a Democratic talking point, right? What I'm referencing is...
And I'm so glad she said that. See, not all thing I agree with Angela Rye. But there's always something I can agree with you on. Even if I don't agree with you on 99.9%, I still got a 0.% I can agree with you on. And in this situation, I agree with Angela Rye. This is not a talking point. This is not a political talking point, but you want to make it a political talking point by espousing the fact that certain people lost. The reason these people lost because they suck. They don't know how to campaign. And on the down ballot ticket, you cannot win a race on Stop Trump. You only can win a race on what you're going to do for your community or for your city or what your state, for your state, not Stop Trump. And that's why they lost.
The CBC PAC, in concert with the DCCC, actually held a poll and talked about not just defund the police, but around police reform, period, for the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act. And what you saw is that people were very interested in those reforms. My point is that we should not be in the business of trying to shift what an activist message frame is to get people to the streets to ensure real change in communities. In fact, if you look at what happened in communities where policing budgets actually take place on the local and state level, there actually were several police budgets that were shifted. There actually were several conversations and city council votes that were held.
Now, before Don let me talk, she's exactly right. You cannot, number one, you cannot make this about getting people to a poll. And that's what the news media want to do. They want to take over these movements to drive people to vote for their candidate, saying their candidate is the one that have the ability to make these change happening. No, that's a bald-faced lie. No, the grassroots alone can put enough pressure on politicians to force them to make that change, whether they're Republican, Democratic, whether they love black people or hate black people. You can put enough pressure on their behind that they have no choice but to bend the knee. Case in point, Dr. King and LBJ. Dr. King was a thorn in the flesh, according to LBJ. That was a quote from LBJ. A pain in the butt. And he knew it was a pain in the butt. And the only way he can get that pain out of the butt is bend the will to the knee, bend the knee to the will of Dr. King and the people in his movement. You don't need politicians doing this, but let's let old Lemonhead talk.
So
Angela,
I think
that's not what people hear.
No, wait.
But
guys,
that's not what people hear when they hear defund the police. They don't hear shift
But
police.
that's not my responsibility, Don.
But
It's somebody's responsibility to keep a George Floyd alive.
But okay, listen, I understand that. But as an activist, and you said, who did you say the DCCC did that? That's a political.
I did that poll, guys.
But that's
Hello?
a political. I'm gonna let you get in. But that's a political organization.
Actually also
isn't it
worked
all
on the
about?
poll.
No, I did it with him.
But
Angela.
isn't it all about winning seats and winning people over so that you can have some power? Because you can't do any of that. You can't, if you indeed want to defund the police, you cannot do it if you're not in power. If you don't have someone in that position to help you do what you want to do. Go on.
Here he go again with the lies. So what Don Lemon is trying to say, until you put somebody in power that can do it, it can be done, can't be done. What he's really saying is until you put a Democratic in power, somebody who's more flexible to do it, it won't get done. Who told you that lie, Don? You don't have to have somebody who you believe has the power to not only do it, but is willing to do it. You don't need that. First of all, Joe Biden ain't going to ever defund the police. Matter of fact, Joe Biden talking about putting more money in the police department. Second of all, Kamala Harris ain't on the tip of defunding the police. She's a former attorney general of California. She oftentimes begged the federal government for more funding to put more cops on the streets. So she's not going to do it. And she even admitted to it in an interview with the Grio that she's not for defunding, that she's for whatever Joe Biden is for. So your talking point of we got to get people in power who can do it is mute. Because these two people at the top of the ticket is no different from Trump. They're not for defunding the police. Matter of fact, they're for more funding for police. So stop using this, we got to get them in power. Nothing can get done until we get them in office. That's a lie. It don't matter who's in office. You can cripple them to the point where they have no choice but to get it done, or all hell is going to break loose. Because you don't outnumber the people of America. And if the people of America decide to do a mass strike, and they should, and put the pressure on your behind, then you ain't got no choice but to bend the knee. I don't care if you're Joe KKK, or Joe Christian, or Joe Conservative, or Joe Progressive. Either you do it, or you're going to put yourself in a position where you're going to have some sleepless nights, bro. Sleepless nights.
Karen.
So 3 things I'm going to say here. First of all, Cornell and Belcher and I did do that poll together. Angela, I wasn't saying you weren't saying that we did it together. We did that together, and we talked to suburban white women. We talked to some suburban white women outside of Chicago not long after some of the violence that had erupted there. And what we found is when you talk about the language of what is in the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act, people very much agree with it. They agree with the idea of accountability for in policing. But I think there's a larger issue, and there's a couple pieces. The activist in me and the black woman in me that has herself been profiled, cuffed, and ended up in a jail cell because of a fine for a ticket knows we need reform, 100%. And I get the language that activists are trying to use to push us forward. I don't disagree as a communications expert with President Obama that what can happen is people may not listen to the second sentence after defund the police about the vision that we're talking about when we talk about the changes that are needed, not just to our policing and criminal justice systems, but in how we reimagine what actual safe communities for Black people and white people and brown people and all Americans really looks like. And that's part of why when people went to go testify on Capitol Hill, we don't just talk about, the policing side. We have to talk about, having, diversion programs and mental health and safe places for our kids to play. So it's a whole range of conversation that we have to have. I think personally, we need both. We need the activists who push us forward. We need the policy though. And I do think we need to be able to explain and talk about our policy in ways that we bring people into the conversation with us. And one of the most important findings that we talked about in that poll is if you are a white American and you do not live with the threat of racism in your daily life, it is a more abstract concept. So when we talk about some of these reforms that are needed, when you saw the video of George Floyd, you got it right away. There's a problem. That doesn't happen every day. So how we engage in these conversations matters. The last thing I will say, it is absolute nonsense to say that people lost their seats over socialism and defund the police. That is a much bigger problem about people. As Angela was saying, the data showing those were gerrymandered GOP-leaning districts that we barely won in the first place, and two, a Democratic Party that needs to do a better job showing up everywhere, standing up for our values, and defining ourselves, and not letting the Republicans define us in a lot of those places.
Now, don't normally agree with Karen Finney. I have my issues with Carrie Finney. Her lips are still glued up to Hillary Clinton's behind. But the fact of the matter is, Don, you're talking about where it's not popular. Where it's not popular is places where it's pretty much red country, Trump country. So you don't expect to get anything positive out of those areas. But you want to focus on those areas and try to make a whole talking point as if America is having an issue with this, and America is not having an issue with this. And even if it is an issue, who cares? America had an issue with segregation. I still got some issues with how segregation got implemented, but America is pretty much segregated now. I mean, America is pretty much in a position now where you don't have that much separation between black and white. We all live together. We eat together in certain places. Even in some places where they don't want us there, you still can find black people there. They may not like it. And there's laws if you harass a black person because they stay in the neighborhood. See, those wasn't there before. So Don Lemon, get off this kick. See, Karen Finney understands that if your party, and Karen, you should have understood this a long time ago, if you don't start speaking the language of helping working people, and more importantly, if you don't speak the language of helping your most loyal constituents, the black community, and doing whatever you can to make life easier for them, like you do for everybody else but them, you're going to lose them. You lost me. And and the Republicans going to try to pick them up. Now, I'm not falling for their crap, but they're going to at least try, like they did in this election. And they have a right to try. You don't own black people, they don't own black people. I'm on the side of both of us need to tell y'all to go somewhere. And we need to stand on the side as an independent and form a block and force and do what Dr. King, go to you with our demands and tell you you're not going to get any support from the most powerful voting bloc in the world. We can make or break you. And if you don't give us what you want, what we desire, we're going to break you. Now, Don Lemon want to make this all about a phrase. Barack Obama want to make this about a phrase. Most people know what defunding the police is. The only people that want to make a big deal of it is pretty much Trumpettes, Trump supporters, Trump nut huggers. They the one have a problem with that. And now, people who are pretty much Republican-like, Democrats, like centrist Democrats like Obama, like John Kerry, like Vice President Joe Biden, Kamala Harris. They have a problem with it. But real deal, grassroots, hardcore, balls to the wall, people who want change, they can care less. I was on Facebook and seeing people going back and forth over the definition. You allow Barack Obama and other people like him and Don Lemon to get you to make a debate about a name instead of a debate about what's behind the name. Why don't y'all debate about what it is, not how it sounds? Let me keep going.
So I'm just saying, we're going to take a break and then we're going to come back because I'm going to continue this conversation. I think it's got to be a longer conversation. All I'm saying is you don't give your, why would you give the people who oppose you ammo? And why would you turn people off by a slogan that doesn't work? You can change the slogan and do the same work, but let's talk about it. Angela,
but you trying to make this about a slogan so your party can gain power. Why would you want to talk the language? This is what you're saying. Why do you want to pick up language from the grassroots if you're trying to win an election? No, bruh. If you don't pick up the language of the grassroots, you're not going to win the election because it's the grassroots that will vote you in if you do what they're asking you to do. So if they got a language on what they're asking you to do, if they got a definition, if they got a look, if they got an image and you don't accept it, you ain't getting their vote. The way you thinking, man, sometimes, let me get myself up here. We're not going to go to part 2. No. $12 million, $4 to $6 million a year, and you can't use your common sense. You know why you can't see things that way, Don Lemon? It's because you have never been at the grassroots. You have never lived life, predominantly according to your history. You live a little uppity. You're a little uppity, bourgeoisie. You know, you drink with your pinky finger out. You probably got OCD. Everything got to be in order. You don't want your macaroni cheese touching your rice. It's too much starch anyway. This is not about what Obama call slogan. Let me tell you something, you fools, you numbnuts, you ignorant people who are always trying to stop movements. We see who you are, and we're going to push back on you every single time. You want to make this about a slogan. It ain't about a slogan. It's a term. And whether you like it or not, it's not the term, it's what's behind the term. I'm glad the term got people debating. I'm glad it got people upset. I'm glad you're talking about it, but you need to go beyond the term and look at the definition of the term. And the definition is we need to take some of this extreme money that from the federal government and state government given to local police department and start making sure it get in the right places. Mental health, building up the community. Again, the reason police exists is to serve and protect the community. That's the only mission of the police department: serve and protect, not go around looking for somebody to beat up on and act like they lord over. And because you got too much money, because you got too much weaponry, because you got too much power, and I believe there's a time and season for weaponry and power, especially when you got to deal with drug kingpins and things like that. But for freaking marchers on the street, protesters on the streets, you got to bring out military-grade tanks, police officers in tactical gear with machine guns. Are you freaking kidding me? That's where they talk about defunding the police. Take that money and put it in building up the community. Here in New York, we got a place where kids can go to, where they can play basketball, they can learn about certain things, funded by the police department. I think it's called, I forgot the name of police something. They got a gym basketball team, they got classes, they got all that. That's what you call funding. Now, don't get me wrong. New York Police Department, they make almost 6 figures, man. After 3 years on the force, you're making good money. They pay their officers well. They get the best of the best perks. I believe in that. But the money going to weaponry, that got to stop. We got too many tactical weapons for some of the smallest issues you can think of, such as protesting. So Don Lemon and anybody else who's espoused this talking point, it's not about the term. But I am glad that you don't like the name. Because you don't like the name is everywhere. You mentioning it is putting it out there. Long as we can tag the right definition behind the name, and we are, every time you say something about that name, you know exactly what we mean. The main people who are running their mouth about this, including Obama, know exactly what we mean. It's not about the name, or as what you call a slogan. If you want to talk about horrible, trashy slogan, how about hope and change? How about change we can believe in? Is that Bernie Sanders? That was trashy. Hope and change. Yes, we can. Now that was a crappy slogan. You won because you said you were going to do things for people, and you didn't, and you did it for everybody but black people. Yet black people still went out and reckoned them again to vote for you because we bought into the fact that you said, look here, I may not have done much for my first term. I hooked up the LGBT community. I hooked up the DACA community, the Latino community. My first law I passed was a law to cater to white women, and some blacks and some Latinos, but mainly the white women. I did all that. This term, it's all about you, baby. It's all about you. Are you freaking kidding me? It's not about the term. It's what you do. It's the policies. It's the policies. Stop with this. I don't like the name of it. I just don't like the name. Look, some of you corporate Democrats took the name of progressive and you are calling yourself progressive when you know you're not. Why don't you start talking about what it means and get it done? Talk about what it means and get it done. That's the most important topic. Not the name, not a slogan, Obama. Because you had great slogan, hope and change, yes we can, and you still didn't do none of that. We didn't, and there was no hope for black people. And to this day, we still haven't got the hope and change that we need. I'm Robert Brown with the Rob Report. I'll holler at you later. Peace.